I have seen a lot of startups offer 10 to 12 lakhs starting package.
की knowledge areas कौन से होने चाहिए जिसमें skills और expertise develop करनी पड़ेगी to come into this field?
Scikit-learn is there, and if you are doing deep learning, then there is PyTorch and TensorFlow.
Would you suggest like people from any specific background to come into this field या diverse backgrounds के लोग आते हैं इस field में?
Just because आप DSA कर रहे हो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आपको सारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा आप.
So like a pharmacist can come into this field if he is interested?
One is going to be the diplomatic answer and one is going to be the straightforward answer.
और इंडिया में जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ का क्या सीन है? हाय एवरीवन, माय नेम इज शिवांगी तिवारी और आज की पॉडकास्ट बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाली है क्योंकि आज हमारा डिस्कशन एआई और एमएल के अराउंड होगा. फॉर दिस आई हैव इन्वाइटेड अ वेरी स्पेशल गेस्ट ऑन माय चैनल. हिज नेम इज गोपाला एंड ही इज वर्किंग एज एन आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस 3 इन गूगल एंड इनको काफ़ी ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है इस फील्ड में. ही इज गोना गिव अस अ लॉट ऑफ इनसाइट्स दैट हाउ यू कैन बिल्ड योर करियर इन द फील्ड ऑफ आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस एंड मशीन लर्निंग. सो पॉडकास्ट काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाली है. सो डू वॉच टिल द एंड एंड शेयर योर फीडबैक. So, hi Gopala, welcome to my channel. Can you briefly introduce yourself to my audience?
Hi Shivangi, I'm Gopala. I work as an AI engineer at Google. I've been working here for the past 2 years. Last 2 years I have been working at Google, little more than 2 years. And almost all of my work revolves around engineering and stuff like that. So I've had past experiences in machine learning as well. So machine learning algorithms, artificial intelligence. I have been working with them day in and day out, possibly from 2017.
Great. So Gopala, a lot of people get confused in the terms between AI and ML. So I want to know that what is the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning?
That's a great question. Often I also used to get confused back in the day. It's very natural to get confused with these terms. So when we talk about machine learning, it's a discipline of AI. So AI is the biggest बड़ा umbrella है वो. उसके under you have different things like deep learning, machine learning, reinforcement learning, lot of different things. But that's all the technical jargon. This is all things that you want to tell someone. This is how you sort of tell people that you know stuff. But if you really want to understand what is the difference between AI and machine learning, it's the simple thing that machine learning often is the way of making machines learn by giving them examples, right? By showing them trends and data and making the machines learn. That is machine learning. And AI is the broad aspect which touches things which may or may not include data, right? Because there are algorithms वैसे भी होते हैं जिसमें डेटा का ज़्यादा ज़रूरत नहीं होता है. It can work without data, so like search algorithms and all those kind of things. So AI is the broader field and machine learning is within that field.
Okay, so मतलब ये क्वेश्चन मेरे दिमाग में इसलिए आया क्योंकि मशीन लर्निंग मीन्स मेकिंग द मशीन लर्न समथिंग आर्टिफिशियली, राइट? एंड आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस इज ऑल्सो प्रोवाइडिंग दैट इंटेलिजेंस टू द मशीन आर्टिफिशियली. सो दैट्स वाई इट्स क्वाइट कन्फ्यूजिंग, बट थैंक्स फॉर क्लैरिफाइंग. सो बैक देन, अभी तो AI का काफ़ी ज़्यादा ट्रेंड है, बट बैक देन व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड इतना ज़्यादा AI बज़ वर्ड नहीं था. सो हाउ डिड यू स्टार्टेड टू कम इन टू दिस फील्ड? हाउ डिड यू डिसाइड टू कम इन टू दिस फील्ड?
Yeah, I mean, interesting stories back in the day. You are right. That time, people used to be really looking forward for the typical big neural network kind of a models back in 2017, 2018. I started because I was really interested in computer vision. I had done a lot of different projects for computer vision, and this was something which I always liked doing. Algorithms is something which I really liked, and one fine day I stumbled across YouTube पे videos काफ़ी देखता था मैं of technical channels and all those things, and नया term आया था तब. It was not new as in the term has been around for like probably 2 to 3 decades, but उस time पे it was new amongst the researchers. They were doing a lot of things with neural networks and how do you implement it yourself. So I started learning about neural networks. तभी TensorFlow was released a couple of years back, so it was quite new. So I started working on TensorFlow. It looked very complex to me. To this date, I find it very complex. That's the honest answer. But that time the student in me thought कि ये complex है, यही पहले करते हैं. So I started working on that. Eventually built my skills from TensorFlow, and then different things came up, and that's how I sort of entered into the world of AI.
Interesting. So someone who is going to start his or her career in this field, so what according to you should be the fundamental skills that a person should acquire, या वो key knowledge areas कौन से होने चाहिए जिसमें skills और expertise develop करनी पड़ेगी to come into this field?
Shivangi, I personally feel कि no matter what type of AI or machine learning algorithm you want to go ahead with, you should always have very good grasp of the fundamentals.
Okay.
That fundamentals could be fundamentals of AI, fundamentals of machine learning, understanding how statistics work. Those things are very important. So if somebody asks me, I would definitely say कि आप पहले जो fundamentals आपके concepts हैं वो आप समझो, and you should be so confident in them that even if you are just awoke from your sleep, अभी नींद से उठे हो, आपको सब पता है कि you know all those things, those statistical concepts, you know these things. And the reason why I say this is because जो technology है, AI and machine learning, it's one of those fields right now which is evolving very fast.
Right.
So the one thing that is always going to be constant is the fundamental concepts.
Understandable. So, would you suggest like people from any specific background come into this field, या diverse backgrounds के लोग आते हैं इस field में?
I would say that there's no restriction on background. In fact, I have personally seen in my career, in my current organization, in my past organizations, anyone who has a knack for understanding data and working with big data and who wants to build algorithms can
Right.
come. Some people have their expertise in system design. कुछ लोगों को algorithmic design पसंद होता है, कुछ को big data पसंद होता है. But AI is one such field which accepts all. So if you just have that knack and you want to really do something in AI, you should definitely try to break in.
So, like a pharmacist can come into this field if he's interested.
Absolutely, why not?
Okay. So someone जो कि just start कर रहा है और उसका कोई भी background नहीं है इस field में and he want to do a self study, तो उसके लिए what roadmap would you suggest? Step by step can we discuss that?
ये एक अच्छा क्वेश्चन है आपका कि what should be the step by step process. मेरे अंडरस्टैंडिंग में there is no fixed process, but what I would definitely recommend anyone who's doing or entering into machine learning AI is that first of all you learn the fundamentals, basics of maths आना चाहिए, statistics का understanding होना चाहिए. I would say definitely you should have an understanding of statistics and maths. After that I would definitely recommend, मैं हर किसी को करता हूँ to do course of there's a Andrew NG का course है. It's a very nice course. It's a pretty old one. At least I used to do it back in the day. deeplearning.ai के course है. Fundamentals of deep learning and all those things. Basics से build करता है and it gives you advanced logic. But even before that, I would say कि आप there's a very nice and free course by Google. It's called Google's Machine Learning Crash Course.
Okay.
Very nicely curated. Touches on all the topics that are required, touches on most important topics and mostly misunderstood topics by a lot of people, and tries to explain it in a very very simple way. तो अगर आपको बिल्कुल बेसिक्स भी आता है स्टैटिस्टिक्स का, you can still do that course, आप कर सकते हो, and you'll feel very confident after that course because वो काफ़ी deep and wide जाता है and it touches a lot of different algorithms.
Okay.
तो ये कपल ऑफ कोर्सेज हैं, आई वुड से ये आप डेफिनेटली करो, एंड उसके बाद आप जो एडवांस्ड है जनरेटिव एआई हो गया या एमएल ऑप्स हो गया वो उसके बाद करो. डोंट ट्राई टू डू दैट फर्स्ट.
So once the course part is done, courses का duration generally क्या होता है?
इट इज़ ऑल ऑफ देम, ये तो जनरली सेल्फ पेस्ड होते हैं, तो आप जल्दी भी कर सकते हो, आप स्लो भी कर सकते हो, बट इफ़ यू आर अ बिगिनर इट माइट टेक एनीवेयर फ्रॉम 2 to 3 months टू कंप्लीट दिस कोर्सेज. 2 से 3 महीने में आपका हो जाएगा, एंड उसके बाद आप प्रोजेक्ट्स करो. लाइक आई वुड डेफिनेटली रिकमेंड कि आप कोई ओपन सोर्स लाइब्रेरी देखो, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का ट्राई करो. अगर आपको रिसर्च में इंटरेस्ट है तो आप रिसर्च पेपर इम्प्लीमेंट करने का ट्राई करो. आपको प्रोडक्शनाइजेशन में इंटरेस्ट है तो यू टेक अ ऐप, एक कोई किसी ने जो बनाया है ऑलरेडी, उसको थोड़ा इम्प्रूव करो, उसको ट्राई टू पुट इन प्रोडक्शन. उसको ऐसा आपका कोई भी एक फ्री क्लाउड टियर मिलते हैं, हर क्लाउड प्रोवाइड करता है, और या आप लोकली उसको डिप्लॉय करो. सी हाउ यू वर्क, सी हाउ उसका हाउ दैट एल्गोरिथम फिट्स इन द बिगर पिक्चर ऑफ थिंग्स. आप अपना मतलब जो फीडबैक वगैरह है सिस्टम का वो इनकॉर्पोरेट करो, मतलब इम्प्रूव करो एग्जिस्टिंग सिस्टम्स को. बिल्डिंग समथिंग फ्रॉम स्क्रैच मे नॉट बी एवरीवन्स कप ऑफ टी, हर किसी से नहीं हो पाएगा वो, एंड हर किसी को करने की ज़रूरत भी नहीं है, बिकॉज देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स इन दिस रोल एंड नॉट एवरीवन इज अ रिसर्चर. सबको रिसर्च में इंटरेस्ट नहीं होता है. तो अगर आपको रिसर्च में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है तो आप इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे फोकस करो, और आपको अगर रिसर्च में इंटरेस्ट है तो पेपर्स इम्प्लीमेंट करिए एंड रीड अबाउट दीज न्यूअर थिंग्स. Even if the paper is already implemented, you try to implement it in your way and see what is the difference. That way you will get to know where you stand as compared to बाकी लोग जो कर रहे हैं out in the world.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. एंड वंस योर प्रोजेक्ट इज डन, उसके बाद यू कैन टेलर योर रेज्यूमे, प्रॉपर एक रेज्यूमे बना लो, बिकॉज यू कैन मेंशन द कोर्सेज और whatever you have learned from the projects, and then like you can search for a good job. So, is there any specific programming language that we have to learn to come into this field?
Actually, programming languages तो काफ़ी सारे हैं which people would recommend, but only if you are interested in technical roles. अगर आप
Okay.
technical roles करना चाह रहे हैं तो आप you can learn Python. Python is a good starting point. Data analytics के लिए एक time तक people used to use R as well, R language. That is also a good starting point. But mostly Python is a good starting point, and Python is easy to learn as well. So if you're मतलब उसमें आपको language learn करने में ज़्यादा time नहीं spend करना पड़ेगा. You can directly start trying to solve problems, which is an advantage in my eyes. Right? I am personally not a very firm believer of trying to learn languages end to end and then implementing stuff. I am more of a we'll figure it out while we are building it. So Python is the perfect language for that, in my opinion.
ठीक है, ठीक है. तो अभी आपने जस्ट बोला कि अगर आपको टेक्निकल फील्ड में जाना है देन यू हैव टू लर्न सम प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस लाइक पाइथन. सो अगर नहीं जाना है तो इसमें कोई नॉन टेक रोल्स भी हैं?
हाँ, डेफिनेटली शिवांगी. आई वुड से नॉन टेक रोल्स तो काफ़ी सारे हैं. लाइक आई हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल बीइंग प्रोग्राम मैनेजर होते हैं एआई में, या प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर्स होते हैं, प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर्स होते हैं. लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंट रोल्स आर देयर डेफिनेटली. अगर आप एनालिस्ट टाइप रोल कर रहे हो इन एआई फर्स्ट कंपनी, या एक एआई कंपनी में एनालिस्ट का रोल कर रहे हो, तो वहाँ पर आपका काम एआई प्रोजेक्ट्स को अंडरस्टैंड करना होगा. व्हाट आर द इम्प्लीकेशंस ऑफ दैट, एंड even understanding how different AI customers or different customers that require AI for their use cases, business problem solving. That is also very important, right? We need people जिनको मतलब technical भी समझता हो about the AI and also the actual business problems, because without business problems AI is just another tool, right?
राइट, राइट. तो एज यू टॉक्ड अबाउट द प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस, जैसे मैं पाइथन और आर का थोड़ा सा बेनिफिट होगा अगर हम सीख लेंगे, तो सिमिलरली क्या कोई ऐसे टूल्स भी हैं क्या जिनको सीखने से हमें कुछ बेनिफिट होगा इन दिस फील्ड?
शिवांगी, AI एंड मशीन लर्निंग में जनरली इफ़ यू आर गोइंग इनटू अ टेक्निकल रोल, तो हम लोग फ्रेमवर्क्स में ज़्यादा डील करते हैं दैन टूल्स. सो वी जनरली हैव वेरी लिटिल टूल्स दैट वी वर्क विद. फ्रेमवर्क्स, नोइंग फ्रेमवर्क्स इज मच मोर बेनिफिशियल. आपके लिए काफ़ी ज़्यादा बेनिफिशियल रहेगा अगर आपको फ्रेमवर्क्स पता है. टूल्स के बदले वी कैन यूज़ फ्रेमवर्क्स, राइट? एंड फ्रेमवर्क्स लाइक scikit-learn is there, and if you are doing deep learning, then there is PyTorch and TensorFlow. If you're doing advanced research and stuff like that, then JAX is a framework, JAX, JAX. You can read about that, learn more about that. Lot of papers are now implemented in JAX. So these are a couple of frameworks which are very much used in the industry, and it is good to know these frameworks if you're trying to go for a job in machine learning or deep learning or artificial intelligence in general. So these frameworks are definitely useful and helpful.
Amazing, amazing. So would you suggest some platforms to practice the frameworks or algorithms?
Yeah, absolutely. The best platform where everyone I know जिसको भी machine learning try करना होता है, they all start from the same place. मैंने भी किया था. It's Google Colab. Google Colab gives you the perfect environment. It's free of cost. You can pay for upgrade, but actually free of cost होता है. उस पे आप अपने मॉडल्स वगैरह ट्रेन कर सकते हो. They also give you a free of cost GPU. तो GPU ट्रेनिंग भी आप उस पर कर सकते हो. इफ़ यू हैव अ पावरफुल लैपटॉप, आप लैपटॉप पे भी कर सकते हो, बट जनरली लैपटॉप पे जो बड़े मॉडल्स होते हैं वो नहीं चल पाते हैं. सो आई मीन तब हम रेकमेंड करेंगे कि आप कोलैब पे करो. एंड जितने भी क्लाउड प्रोवाइडर होते हैं लाइक गूगल क्लाउड, Amazon वेब सर्विसेज, दे ऑल प्रोवाइड फ्री क्रेडिट्स. एंड यू जस्ट नीड टू साइन अप विद योर कार्ड, जो भी आपका कार्ड होगा, क्रेडिट कार्ड या डेबिट कार्ड. तो आपको अराउंड $300-400 डिपेंडिंग ऑन द क्लाउड प्रोवाइडर आपको थोड़ा बहुत फ्री क्रेडिट भी देते हैं टू प्रैक्टिस ऑन दैट. बट गूगल कोलैब इज़ अ बेटर ऑप्शन इन माई ओपिनियन.
ठीक है, ठीक है. सो अभी वीडियो की स्टार्टिंग में यू सेड कि मतलब टू कम इनटू दिस फील्ड एक गुड अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ मैथमेटिक्स होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो एंड देन यू सेड कि कोई भी किसी भी बैकग्राउंड का इंसान कैन कम इनटू दिस फील्ड. सो समवन लेट्स से कि कोई आर्ट्स बैकग्राउंड का है, उसकी मैथ्स और स्टैटिस्टिक्स इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है, but he is good at programming languages. Can that person try to come in this field?
That's a good question, Shivangi. In my opinion, मेरे personal opinion में, कि वो बंदा भी आ सकता है. That person can also come who doesn't have a very strong maths and statistics का skills. And they can, if they know programming, that means they already have good analytical skills. उनका problem solving अच्छा skill है. so they can eventually come and learn the maths and stats का part, right? It is, I wouldn't say it is very difficult. If you have good analytics, आप आके वो पढ़ सकते हो. There are good YouTube channels, there are good books, good courses on this available on Coursera, and then there's a couple of them available on Plural site. वहाँ पर जाके आप पढ़ सकते हो. This person can read about statistics and basics of machine learning, and they can start building that intuition. Because just like programming में जैसा होता है, आपको machine learning के लिए भी एक intuition learn करना पड़ता है, so that आप problem statement को understand fast करो और you understand कि इस problem statement को solve करने के लिए किस type के algorithms को मैं deal करूँ. So learning process is there, but definitely it's not impossible.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. Either so for you, either you can take step 1 and step 2, or step 2 and then step 1. It's the same. You are eventually going to reach at the same place. So either you can start from logic building and programming and then learning statistics or mathematics, or you can take the other route. So both ways it works. So like you've been working in this field from a couple of years. So is there some misconception or like some myths for coming into this field? Like I have heard a lot of buzz कि AI की वजह से बहुत सारी जॉब्स चली जाएंगी, या AI में एज सच बहुत ज़्यादा सैलरी रेंजेस या डाइवर्सिटी इन करियर नहीं है. सो व्हाट आर दोज मिसकंसेप्शंस एंड मिथ्स दैट इज देयर इन द इंडस्ट्री राइट नाउ?
I think these are all, you are right. These are all things that people say. These are all myths. And this is a myth, right? That AI will take up a lot of jobs. I look at it in a different way. I feel that AI से बहुत सारी jobs बनेंगी. Jobs that don't exist now, or the jobs that don't exist, let's say 5 years back, will now start existing. Other myths are like, that AI is very hard field to get into. It's very tough to crack it. I don't think so. I feel that it's just like any other field, right? If you spend some time, आप time spend करो, effort डालो, and you read about things, you get to know the more fundamentals. Eventually आप भी, you'll become a good developer, you'll become a good AI engineer, और आप भी फिर, you can make yourself a good career in this. And I mean, I don't think that personal opinion again, I don't feel that the fact कि आपका salary is little different or maybe lower, that's I think no longer true. I mean, we all know how much generative AI has caused demand for engineering, especially in the field of AI. So it's an ever growing field, and it's a one field where the landscape जहाँ पर आपको नया नया अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिलेगा इज वेरी बिग, बिकॉज काफ़ी नया है एज कम्पेयर टू अदर एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोग्राम.
सो नया है इसीलिए तो डर लगता है कि मतलब इतनी ज़्यादा जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ होंगी कि नहीं होंगी. और इंडिया में जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ का क्या सीन है?
आई वुड से शिवांगी, इंडिया में जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ बढ़ गई हैं अभी AI की. जितने भी स्टार्टअप्स हैं इंडिया में, यू वुड नॉट बिलीव, बट मोर स्टार्टअप्स इन इंडिया आर एक्चुअली डूइंग innovative works in AI and machine learning. वो लोग अपना मतलब they are putting a lot of money. I have friends and I have people that I interact with. वो स्टार्टअप बहुत ज़्यादा पुश कर रहे हैं of adoption of AI and maybe even generative AI in their tech stack. Because जो problems हैं, problem statements हैं, वो तो कहीं ना कहीं solve हो ही चुकी है to a very large extent, right? So जितना जो tech driven startups हैं इंडिया के, वो काफ़ी हद तक इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं AI में और टीम्स बिल्ड कर रहे हैं. सो इट्स डेफिनेटली नया है, आई एग्री, बट नया होने का एडवांटेज ये है कि बहुत ग्रोथ भी है इसमें if you get in the right time and start working in the right teams.
So this brings me to another question, like how can someone gain some experience, practical experience or internships or build some good projects to build a successful career in this field?
Good question, Shivangi. I feel कि good experience starts from good knowledge. So the first and foremost thing should be to understand the concepts very well,
Right.
and then start building in projects, right? There are a lot of open source GitHub repositories जिसपे लोग not necessarily features ऐड करते हैं, कभी-कभी अपने experiments भी ऐड करते हैं, discussions में अपना comments ऐड करते हैं. आपको community के साथ interact करना पड़ेगा, and that's a good thing. If the more you interact, because it's a new field, right? The more you interact, the more you learn. हो सकता है आप कुछ ऐसा बना दो जो अभी तक किसी ने नहीं बनाया हो, आपका research ऐसा हो जो किसी ने नहीं किया हो अभी तक. तो don't think that what you are doing is small. What you are doing is also pretty big. It could be the next big thing. So that is where you start from, and then eventually जब आपके पास fundamentals आपके clear हैं, and आपका let's say programming clear है, आपका stats maths आपको to a certain level you're confident, and आपने कुछ अच्छे projects में contribute किया है, कुछ अच्छे project बना दिए, competitions में part लिया है आपने. I used to do that a lot. Competition में part ले लिया है, तो आपके पास एक रेज्यूमे जैसा बिल्ड हो जाता है आपका. आई वुडंट कॉल इट रेज्यूमे, बट आपका एक
पोर्टफोलियो बिल्ड हो जाता है.
portfolio build हो जाता है, right? And it gives you confidence also. So
राइट
tomorrow if you
राइट.
sit in an interview, you know a lot of concepts. आपको वो basics machine learning, deep learning, AI के आप आगे बढ़ जाते हो. Like those things become the basics, and that is what you want. वो एक बार आपका वो stage आ गया तो उसके बाद you will get a lot of internship opportunities. You will be able to ace the interviews too.
So how can we get the internship opportunities? Oh, once that portfolio is built, right? उसके बाद what ways shall we follow to get the internship opportunities?
I would say that if you're a student trying to look for it, I would say definitely build a good and strong profile on LinkedIn. You know, it good profile on LinkedIn बनाइए and try to interact with people who are working in the same field as you, or whom you want to join in, like you want to be in the same field as they are. उनको आप follow करिए, उनसे interact करिए. What all things they post on, interact with those people and try to build genuine relations. Because when you are a fresher, when you are a new person in the industry, you don't have a lot of accomplishments, anyone for that matter of fact.
Right, right.
So the only way you are going to get in is when you show the work that you've done is really good. और वो आप show कैसे करोगे? Through your projects that you've done and through interacting with the right people. So right people and right projects will give you all the opportunity.
So LinkedIn is one great platform. Along with LinkedIn, और कहाँ recruiters are having their eyes on to catch students, especially freshers?
Yeah, I feel that LinkedIn, like you said, LinkedIn is a good platform. Apart from that, I say a lot of times, colleges and a lot of these big MNCs have a lot of hackathons, right? I don't recollect the names, but a lot of MNCs, this fintech sector में बहुत सारे hackathon होते हैं. तो आपको hackathon में जाइए. They almost all hackathons have a AI का track, and AI का theme होता है. तो उस theme में जाइए, participate करिए. Participate once, twice. I have seen teams who did not even reach, let's say, the finals. They reached the semifinals, but even they were called for an interview for an internship. तो you make your presence felt. आप जितना हो सकता है उतना in competition में part लीजिए and try to build a good what do I say, a team with which you can take part in these competition. That will give you that additional क्या बोलूँ मैं, bonus lift point मिलता है आपको. अगर आपके पास एक अच्छा टीम है और आप उनके साथ competition में part ले रहे हो तो आपका एक एक वर्ल्ड व्यू बढ़ जाता है and then you are able to do more with less time. So I would say that is also an important thing. Recruiters as such, for freshers, to be honest, actively look out करने के बदले you have to look out actively for recruiters. So that happens when you go to these events, when you go to these offices. That happens that time.
Have you, since you are at a good position in Google, have you ever taken interviews also?
Yeah, I have taken interviews.
Okay, what do you look in a good candidate?
It's in general, Shivangi, it's a mix of having good technical skills, definitely, but also good soft skills. And knowing how to solve problems is also important. And I know when I say this, knowing how to solve problems is very difficult and different than compared to having good technical skills. Technical skills can be oftentimes वो कैसा होता है ना, it is like it can be bookish knowledge as well.
Right.
तो हम when we try to interview, we as in most Googlers, when they try to interview, they try to look for a lot of parameters. It's not just one thing. We try to look for how good the technical fit is, how good the person is in general, how do they interact, can they solve problems, how fast can they think, and also if there is something which they are doing wrong, they make a mistake or something like that, can they correct it themselves or not? So it's a lot of combinations of things that we actively look for in people.
Understood. Okay, so in a generic SD role, we get some DSA questions, couple of DSA rounds, then there is this behavioral round, then HR round, and done. We get the call letter if we are selected. How is this? What sort of questions are asked in the interviews for this role?
So since AI is so new, I've had different experiences in different places.
Okay.
But there are some couple of common points. कुछ चीज़ें बहुत common होती है. For example, DSA is still asked. If you are a fresher, even if you are not a fresher, DSA is required because it helps show कि आपको problem solve करना आता है. So DSA is there. And then apart from DSA, there often happens rounds जिसमें आपको data science के questions पूछे जाते हैं,
Theoretical.
fundamentals of data science.
हम्म.
हाँ, theoretical,
ठीक
but
है.
also sometimes practical, coding based भी होते हैं.
अच्छा,
मतलब
okay.
उसमें you have to write small pieces of code. Let's say pipeline code लिखना है या processing code लिखना है. All those kind of things are there. And sometimes the interviews that I have been in, sometimes the questions are also related to machine learning and deep learning. Sometimes machine learning का fundamentals होता है, but also system design भी होता है. So how do you scale this thing for let's say 100 people to 1000 people to 1 million people? What will you do different? आप अलग क्या करोगे? System में क्या changes लाओगे कि वो चले? And then in more deeper concepts come in, like concept drift and data drift के concepts को कैसे आप relate करोगे? Responsible AI को कैसे relate करोगे? So those kind of questions come in when you go into deep technical rounds. Machine learning and deep learning में वो सब concepts भी आ जाते हैं. So I would say it's very different, but DSA is important. Databases are important. Database, I forgot to mention, database के questions भी बहुत पूछे जाते हैं. And I have been in interviews जहाँ पर मुझे SQL queries भी लिखनी पड़ी थी. Apart from answering theoretical questions, SQL queries भी होती है. So वो भी आना चाहिए. And machine learning and deep learning is a must. Right? That's the fundamental.
ठीक है, ठीक है. सो जैसे वैसे गूगल एंड ऑल में फैंग कंपनीज़ में तो जनरली नहीं होता कि अलग से किसी पर्टिकुलर रोल के लिए अप्लाई करना हो. इट्स जस्ट अपना वो जेनेरिक एसडी रोल जिसके लिए बच्चे सेलेक्ट होते हैं एंड देन उसके बाद प्रोजेक्ट्स अलॉट होते हैं. बट इफ़ समवन इज़ स्पेसिफिकली अप्लाइंग फॉर एआई, सो उसके लिए मतलब वॉट एवर यू हैव टोल्ड लाइक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ डीबी और कंप्यूटर फंडामेंटल्स पर से, देन एमएल, डीप लर्निंग, एनएलपी, तो ये सारी चीज़ें पढ़नी होंगी. वुड इट बी टू मच?
You are right. It's a lot of things. I understand that, and I know it's not that possible and feasible to know everything.
Especially for
इसलिए
the
जो
college going students, क्योंकि if
yeah,
someone is
I
not
know
from
it's
that
a lot
background,
of things.
yeah.
Yeah, so I would say कि generally people जो मैंने देखे हैं मेरे आसपास लोग, they break in or they enter this field by doing one thing. आप सब एक साथ मत करो, आप एक टॉपिक उठाओ. So for example, if you're good in databases, तो आप database से enter कर सकते हो इस फील्ड में. आप database से करो, सीखो SQL, NoSQL, then analytics कैसे करते हैं, then go to let's say dashboarding, Power BI वगैरह learn करो, and then come into machine learning and deep learning. तो मेरा recommendation भी यही होता है जनरली कि सब एक साथ मत करने जाओ. पहले आप एक एक कॉन्सेप्ट को उठाओ और उसके साथ कंफर्टेबल हो जाओ. राइट. तो जैसे मेरा स्टार्ट लाइक आई सेड, मेरा स्टार्ट डीप लर्निंग से हुआ था. मुझे मशीन लर्निंग इतना नहीं आता था, तो मैंने डीप लर्निंग से स्टार्ट किया. आई टुक सम टाइम, देन आई वेंट टू मशीन लर्निंग, देन आई वेंट टू एआई सिस्टम्स, देन आई वेंट टू सिस्टम डिजाइन, देन आई वेंट टू सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. आई वेंट टू लेट्स से डेटाबेसेस, एनालिटिक्स एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. तो मेरा भी कुछ ऐसा बहुत ही आई वुड से सब कुछ मुझे एक टाइम पे नहीं आता था. आई एम इवेंचुअली लर्नड थिंग्स एंड आई एम स्टिल लर्निंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स.
It's a process. वो तो continuous learning is throughout your career, throughout your life, I would say.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Can you suggest some platforms to practice for interviews? मतलब क्योंकि
Yeah,
not everyone has people to like have mock interviews. Friends नहीं होते. Sometimes colleagues are also not there to practice mock interviews. So any platform?
Platform. Let's see. So I would say for machine learning और AI, DSA के लिए तो लीड कोड वगैरह सब करते हैं. मैंने भी किया था. तो लीड कोड इज द गुड प्लेटफॉर्म टू प्रैक्टिस योर DSA. फॉर मशीन लर्निंग एंड AI, आई वुड से यू शुड टेक क्विजेस. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ कैगल पे क्विजेस होते हैं, कैगल पे कॉम्पिटिशंस होते हैं. वो सब में आप पार्टिसिपेट करो एंड ट्राई टू आई वुड से एक ही कॉम्पिटिशन में बार बार पार्टिसिपेट मत करो या एक टाइप के कॉम्पिटिशन में मत करो पार्टिसिपेट. डाइवर्स कॉम्पिटिशन में पार्टिसिपेट करो. क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, मशीन लर्निंग एंड AI में यू मे नॉट गेट अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल एंड राइट नाउ देयर इज नॉट अ लॉट ऑफ I'm not sure if there are a lot of platforms that cater to sift
Right.
machine learning or AI.
That's why that question came in my mind.
Right. So there is no one fixed process. What I would say is that आप Kaggle वगैरह पे quizzes होते हैं, competitions होते हैं, उधर करिए. And apart from that, these platforms like there's a lot of good subreddits on Reddit as well, which will help you, give you a lot of quiz questions and all those things. वो सब करिए. But more importantly, in my opinion, because machine learning is a very analytical and applied field. When I say applied, is that means कि आपको हर problem set में नया होगा.
Right.
तो यहाँ पर आपका more than checking your knowledge, which is just A के बाद B के बाद C, what will be checked is that how do you approach a problem, how do you solve a problem, what are the thoughts that go in your head. So वो आपके पास तभी आएंगे अच्छे से when you solve a lot of problems. So take part in a lot of competition, go through a lot of GitHub repos, use them, develop a lot of stuff, तब आपको धीरे धीरे वो clarity आएगा और फिर confidence भी आएगा automatically for those interviews.
Makes sense, makes sense. Now coming to the most asked questions और जो हमारे दिमाग में सबसे ज़्यादा आता है कि salary ranges क्या होते हैं इस field में. Is it at par with the SDs या ज़्यादा या कम? What are the ranges that we get?
So I will give you two answers to this question. One is going to be the diplomatic answer and one is going to be the straightforward answer.
Okay.
The diplomatic answer is that the salary ranges will be as high as you are as high as good of an engineer you are.
Okay.
Right? If you are a really good SDE, it will be high. If you are a really good AI engineer, it will also be high. But realistically speaking, I would say, in my experience, I have seen the growth of AI engineers and AI roles in general, not just engineering. Unka salary ka growth has been much higher. The rate of growth has been much higher over the past 2 years. And the range goes, different organization ka different hoga. But I have seen a lot of startups offer 10 to 12 lakhs starting package. Again, these are startups ke packages. So if you go to tech companies, big tech companies, and just in a couple of few more years, you can have good increments. I've heard a lot of my friends got like 20 to 25% increments, doing these kind of machine learning roles and even like deep learning scientist role, all those things. So you definitely have a lot of potential here, I would say, because अगर आपका project अच्छा होता है and there's a lot of impact, तो machine learning में आपको visibility बहुत मिलती है. The work that you do gets a lot of visibility.
Right. Do you remember some common companies that always keep hiring for these roles? Startups or any service-based companies, any product-based companies?
Like I've heard Myntra hires a lot in this. Misho hires data scientists. Then there are also, these are product companies. Then there are analytics companies, service-based sometimes. Like I think Fractal is one. Then there's Tiger Analytics. These are like good companies, and they give you very good. They give you a really good exposure. Another one is Quantify. That's where I also work. These are like good companies to start your career with, and definitely you'll learn a lot of things. These companies are good options.
So companies mainly dealing with a lot of data are potentially hiring for these guys. Yeah, understood.
Basically. But the thing is that India में हमारे पास, because of our population, there's anyways a lot of data in. Most of the startups have a lot of data by default. So every company eventually will become a data company.
So you have a lot of experience in diverse ways, diverse projects. So did you face any challenges while working on these projects? And would you like to give a fair idea on what type of projects did you work on?
Absolutely, Shivangi. Challenges I faced a lot of. मैंने तो बहुत सारे challenges face किए in this because मोस्टली मशीन लर्निंग में और AI में कैसा होता है कि आपको जो एंड गोल होता है इंस्टेड, दैट इज़ नॉट वेरी क्लियर, दैट इज़ नॉट वेरी वेल डिफाइंड. जैसा जनरली यू हैव SDE projects, you know the end state, you have a good idea about what you want to achieve and how will you achieve it. In AI projects there is a lot of ambiguity. आपको पता नहीं रहता है till the last moment it's gonna work. मॉडल तो बना दिया बट एक्यूरेसी 90 के ऊपर होगा या नहीं, और मॉडल बनाऊँ कैसे, डेटा नहीं है या डेटा अच्छा नहीं है. So most of the problems revolve around data or model. Mostly it's around data. Data quality ठीक नहीं है, quantity sufficient नहीं है, processing में time लग रहा है, and all those things. Then even after you build a model, तो मॉडल बना दिया बट मॉडल का रिजल्ट ठीक नहीं आ रहा है, how to tune it, डेटा लिमिटेड है. तो ये सब challenges बहुत frequently आते हैं, and I have asked this to a lot of my colleagues as well. Everyone faces these kind of challenges, especially with machine learning projects, AI projects. It's a common trend. एंड दिस इज समथिंग दैट अगर आपको एक मशीन लर्निंग इंजीनियर बनना है, आपको AI में आना है, तो आपको कंफर्टेबल होना सीखना पड़ेगा विद दीज काइंड ऑफ एम्बिग्यूअस रिक्वायरमेंट्स, एम्बिग्यूअस सिचुएशंस. यस, आप हर टाइम डिटरमिनिस्टिक सोल्यूशन नहीं मिलेगा आपको, एंड यू नीड टू बी ओके विद इट. आपका इट्स योर जॉब टू फाइंड आउट सोल्यूशन जब आपको क्लैरिटी नहीं है. दैट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ योर जॉब. So that is the challenge, and across the industries, I've worked across different industries. I worked across finance industries, gaming industry, media, healthcare industries. So challenges remain the same more or less. Data का ही issue होता है. And finance industries में थोड़ा ज़्यादा issue होता है because finance industries में you don't get a lot of access to the data, and because of lot of regulations and rules, compliance.
Right.
तो you have to be extra careful with the data. तो वहाँ पर थोड़ा और प्रॉब्लम होता है डेटा का. And with media companies, it's the data fidelity is a little difficult to maintain, right? Because with media companies, it's like people, it's actual human people. उनका faces हैं, and you have to deal with them.
हाँ.
So, so those kind of challenges are always there. I would say the challenges are more or less common, but they keep changing. उनका shape size बदलता रहता है, but यही challenges होते हैं overall.
And as you start working, experience आता जाता है तो you start to deal with the challenges in a more efficient way. And रही बात मॉडल की, तो जितना ज़्यादा उसको better data मिलता जाएगा, it will be trained in a better way and it will give a better output, better optimized solution. We could say 90%, 91%, 92% accuracy will improve.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it works. Right. So अभी हमने इंटरव्यू में जो DSA किया, इतना ग्रिल्ड हुए, is it gonna get used somewhere in the projects?
The DSA? That's a good question. See, if you ask me, DSA जो आपने इतना किया, it is going to used in some project, maybe in some, but not in all.
Okay.
ठीक है, that is the right answer. बहुत कम में होता है इतना use. But that is how it works, unfortunately or fortunately, that's how it works. DSA से एक advantage होता है कि problem solving थोड़ा better हो जाता है. So when you actually are facing a lot of difficult and complex problems, it's not that difficult to figure out क्या करना होगा. But I would say that it is not just because आप DSA कर रहे हो, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आपको सारे problem solve हो जाएगा आपसे. उसके बिना भी हो सकता है, उसके साथ नहीं भी हो सकता है.
True. Hey, you get to know an approach to solve a problem or to break down problem into smaller chunks so that you can solve them better. So that's how DSA works. That's true. So coming to the end of the podcast, any advice you would like to give to the freshers who are preparing to come into this field, or your tips?
I'll give some advices. Tips,
Sure.
though I don't think I'm that qualified to give tips. But the advices that I'll give is that this field isn't as difficult as people think it is. इतना difficult नहीं है. Just work hard and get to the bottom of problems, right? If you want to really leave an impact, कोई भी problem just because आपको उसका solution easily मिल रहा है at least at the beginning of your career, आप उसके deep तक जाओ, root cause तक understand करो, how is it being solved? Because once आपको वो intuition समझेगा कैसे solve हो रहा है, आप इससे भी ज़्यादा complex problem solve कर पाओ. So try to go into the depths of problem solving. That is one thing. Apart from all the things that I already said, basics of fundamentals, machine learning, deep learning, वो तो आप करोगे ही. But apart from that, try to always go to the deepest, most root level understanding of why this problem is happening or how do I solve this problem. And build intuition on top of it. Build intuition on algorithms. Understand algorithms not to solve, not to solve DSA questions, but actually understand algorithms to solve problems. Once you transition, you move from that position of DSA से बाहर निकल के जब आप actually problem solving में enter करोगे and you know how to do it, that is going to be the time when you will actually see a very big benefit coming from all this reading that you have done. And keep reading news about tech, keep reading papers I know sometimes are too long, but keep reading summaries of those papers, abstracts of those papers. Usse you will keep on knowing what is the new thing which is up and coming. And don't feel overwhelmed, don't need to do everything at the same time. Things take time. Don't take a lot of pressure on yourself कि सब अभी कर रहा है. Everyone takes time, and I've seen a lot of people who are experts in their field, even they fumble, so it's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself.
Just start. Don't keep procrastinating. शुरुआत कर दो बस. Great advice.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank you so much, Gopala, for coming on my channel, giving your time and sharing so much information. It was great interacting with you.
Thank you so much, Shivangi, for having me.
Guys, if you like the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post my new video. Thank you so much.